Okay, before the break, we were looking at our first real look at version control using commits when we commit to the changes, and really source code management isn't intended to be a backup. Oh, I'm kind of obligated to say that throughout the semester because GitHub is one of those websites. Here in a couple weeks, we will move to GitHub, which is I think everybody's seen before, the standard, the most common application built out of Git, the most common extension of the open source program Git is GitHub. And that site in particular has so many redundant systems, it would probably survive a disaster that humanity doesn't. So as far as backup system, that's one of the best backups there is. But technically, we shouldn't be using our version control for backup. It should be a version control. So we can get back to all that stuff and actually see all those different changes. So it's not just making new edits. We can actually go back to the earlier version and change it without losing all the stuff in between. And we have complete control over it. And the one we were seeing over and over.
Well, I think is that kind of how, like, when you download versions of software, you download earlier, that's how they're doing it is by maintaining the version control. So like you want to download the Django, but you want to be back in like version 2 instead of version 3 or 4. You're going back to an earlier commit.
Yes, exactly. Actually, that one would be a branch, not a commit.
Okay.
So we will see branches set, but an alternative version, and then so like a tree, it branches off. And currently, this is the standard release, but you want this release from over here, so you would just go over to that earlier one. Okay. And each branch has a lot of commits on it. But yes, that is exactly what's happening there. And the whole idea between CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment, instead of making an installer and doing like version 3 update 4 patch 11. 3.4.11 and all those different versions, we create a container that automatically loads from the latest version on GitHub. So then instead of an installer that people would have to do updates and patches and stuff, every time they run their software, it goes to the repository and pulls the latest version. The latest stable version, because there's probably newer versions that are still in progress. And we choose which version loads in. So continuous integration, continuous deployment. You might have seen that, been overwhelmed with it in the SDEV 220 class. That was the first course to actually add all the modern tools in. So even though there's some things I wasn't super thrilled about the manner in which it was done, I don't want to complain about it because I'm so happy that they're in there. And those will soon be into the other programming courses as well. The modern tools. So we won't be doing things like, we won't be learning in the classroom in 2023 the way it was done in 2012. That's not very helpful for your careers, right? We'll learn in 2023 the way it's done in 2023. But the first attempt at it was a bit overwhelming. So just like versions of software, version control, we need to adjust those versions. Oh, let's go back to that thing we saw the most often. We did our log. That's what we kept going back to because we kept needing that hash key. Says the information, who committed that. Did y'all notice on that first given assignment that it did keep my name as adding those files, and then it put your name on there as far as committing the files. So the author staged it, and then the committer and author and committer were different in that case. So we kept coming back to this Git log, and we were using one line to kind of cut it down. There's a couple options. Do we have more control over this though? And probably the fact that I asked that immediately after break tells you that the answer to that, obviously yes. So let's look at a couple of those, kind of get started in them. The main one I have in the notes is pretty frank. Has everybody heard that term before? That's a standard term. So like your markup languages, HTML, XML, any C family language. That would run as one line. The line breaks are only for line breaks and indents are only for the human. But that's a good place for filters. So like your staging filter, like we saw last week, get rid of all those line breaks and indents because those are for the human. And once we go in the code, the computer doesn't need them. So that's a great place for filters. Take them out when you put it in there and put them back when you check out the branch. That's the other filter. The smudge filter runs on checkout. So clean runs on the staging, the add, and smudge runs on checkout. So when we look at a branch, that's when we see it. When we go to work on that branch. Yeah, we didn't have all the terminology to fully talk about that. I just wanted to do something interesting last week. I kind of drifted off there for a second. So a pretty format. Yeah, so that would be a good example of filters. Get rid of all that white space in your C code. Because we don't need that when we go to compile it or when we store it, because it's storing as Unicode text. So that's 32 bits for every single space, every single line feed. If you use carriage return line feeds, that's 64 bits, or that's 32 bits each time instead of 16 bits. Yeah, 16-bit Unicode is what it's probably storing as by default. That's going to add up. Right? If we have 500 lines and 3/4 of them are indented 12 spaces over, or even 3 tabs over, that's a lot of characters that adds up. All those line feeds, especially if we did carriage return line feeds. So we have 2 characters just for the line break. So a clean and smudge filter to take those out and put them back in. But that human readable form, that's called pretty print, where we do the line breaks and indents. The technical term for that is pretty print. So we have an option here. So when we go in our Git log, we have several things. And first one I wanted to look at is the pretty print, because this is kind of where we control it. So the pretty parameter, and then we do equals format. So it's going to equal a format and then a colon. Zoom in. Hopefully everybody can see that really well. And then a string. And the string has what we want to see. So %H. Let's start with this. That's the full hash. So there's all our hashes. If that's all we wanted, we could just put %H, because that's what we kept running the log over and over again, because we had to copy those. And in this case, we know which one's which, right? The bottom one's the first commit we made, then the second and the third commit. So the oldest commit's on the bottom, newest commit's on the top, so we can find it from there. We do a lot more than that. Oh,
Put that back on do not disturb.
yeah, most phones go quiet when you turn them upside down. Git log, I guess yours doesn't.
No, because of my alarms. I have to manually hit it.
So the pretty print is going to be set to formatted, then a colon, and then we pass in a string. Let's abbreviate that. So %lowercase h is that 7-digit version, because we don't need to see the whole thing. What else do we need? AN, space %AN. So the abbreviated hash code and the name of the person that made that commit. If we're the GitOps person, we want to know who we need to go talk to about something that went wrong. Oh, I don't know why I put a % there at the end, but that extra % I put at the end. So the one beforehand, if you've done a bunch of bash scripting, you might notice that format looks a little bit familiar. % and then a 1-letter code going into your Mac user, your bash RC file. The formatting stuff there, it's bash formatting. This is the code there. We have special ones. So we can put after that extra % sign, notice it showed up as text. So we can add stuff in there. Git log. Pretty print is going to be set to format, and the abbreviated message was made by %author name. Do I have date on here? Yeah. %author date. AN for author name, AD for author date, and we get a little bit of message. I have a relative date on here? I did not. I did not put relative dates on my name. I think it might be RN. AR. I'll check the list later. We'll see another date. I have it somewhere that's, but not in the formatting section on my notes. So the H capital is the full hash, lowercase is that abbreviated hash. We can add a sentence adding the author name, AN, AE is author email, AD is the author date. And along with those, we also have CN, CE, and CD. And that's like what happened in that module 1 given assignment, right? I was the author and you were the committer. So both of our names are set through. So if you ask for AN, you would get my name. And if you ask for CN, you would get your own name. Almost like I planned that when I gave you that assignment right before the break. What about other next? Let's do this. So clear this out. Git log. Oh, before I do the full version, let's add one other thing in here. So pretty is set to format, and let's do percent a capital C green. Then space percent AN made the commit percent H, and then in the string. From the word green that I wrote in there, you can figure out pretty quick what percent capital C means. Red, green, and blue, just throw in there. We have other colors. We don't have an extensive list. So normal, which is the default for your system. So like on my PowerShell right now, we'll do white. Is it before sunset? If it's before sunset on my Mac, if I was using the Z terminal on my Mac, it would be black, but whatever time sunset is, it goes to dark mode. Black, red, green, blue, we just type right like that. But we also have magenta, yellow, cyan, and white. So the 2 colors, right? Red, green, and blue, that's our
Your preferred colors.
Yes. That's the screen colors. So we mix red, green, and blue to get a source to see that. Everybody know, like in elementary school, the difference between the source light and reflected light? Yeah. In elementary school, we learned red, yellow, and blue, which is actually magenta, yellow, and cyan. Light reflects off something, and then we detect what was absorbed, what was removed from that light wave when it bounces back to our eyes. And we mix magenta, yellow, and cyan for that. And in source light, like on a screen, if we're looking directly at the source and it's coming straight into our eyes, we see what's there. And we mix red, green, and blue to get that. So those are the 6 colors we have: red, green, blue, magenta, yellow, cyan. And for the magenta, yellow, and cyan, put them in parentheses. So if I come up here, okay, I don't know why it just did that. Hit up and then scroll back. So if you want yellow, put it in parentheses. I'm not sure where that rule comes from. Sometimes it will work without the parentheses, but it will always work with the parentheses. So red, green, and blue go straight in. Magenta, yellow, and cyan get parentheses. Black and white kind of follow suit. Okay, I'm not completely positive on black and white. Let me write black. Nope. For see black didn't do anything, so a couple parentheses on there. So parentheses on black and white as well. I'm not sure where the parentheses come from, but what I do is I usually go ahead and put parentheses on the red, green, and blue too, because it won't hurt to have parentheses on the red. I come back over here and put red. You can see it still shows The ones that don't require parentheses work fine with the parentheses, so it's probably a better option to put it in there. It looks like a function.
Dash
too.
didn't like using a parenthesis. I don't,
Oh,
wait a minute, maybe I got something.
I also like that because it kind of looks like a function. And from writing so much code, I'm used to that function notation. Percent C is the function name, and then black is the parameter we're passing into it.
For some reason, I had 2 lines in there. So there it is.
So there's colors. Not all of our colors, but a small sampling of colors. So we can't go and do, well, we can't. If you want to do like hash code colors and have access to every single color, you have to put that in your hash configuration file or your PowerShell configuration file. So if you're on a Mac or a Linux machine, your bash RC file that has all of the color and formatting information for your terminal, you would just define some more variables in there. You would define a forest green and steel blue and all those other ones you would just define yourself as variables in your bash RC file. But yeah, I don't want to say you can't do it because it's not hard to do it, but not really our thing. So we can set up the error message we want in particular. So get log pretty is going to be our format method, a colon, and then we start a string. I'm going to start with the hash code because that's what we're probably going to copy and paste every time, right? So with that there, then I want a line B. So I'm going to come down to the next line and hit space because horizontal tab doesn't work here. So space 1, 2, 3, 4, and then maybe percent C for blue, and then I'll do the percent author name. And we don't really need a space there. I'm adding extra spaces here. Then I'm going to do percent C reset. It's not a color, but it goes right in with our colors. Reset goes back to normal. So switch it to blue and then switch back to whatever it was before. Then apply the commit. Oh, staged. I did author name, not committer name. So we also have CN or CE for the committer name, committer email, which in the case here is stage the files for the commit. Percent C, let's switch over to red. Oh, percent S, that's a useful one. That's the title, that's the message we put in. That's what's -M when we actually put it in the commit function. The letters change back and forth, like other stuff in Linux. So if you use a little bit of Linux, you're used to Linus Torvalds doing that. They'll just use whatever letter, and he's really, really smart, so they're there forever and has no trouble with it. And the rest of us just have to kind of get used to whatever letter he felt like using on that particular Tuesday. So S is the title, or -M parameter. If we do the commit message, it's that short message. That's probably what S stands for, short. It at least makes sense. That might be a good way to remember. And I'll come down and then into more 2, 3, 4. What I have here then percent author date. And there's a long list. Let me see what relative date is. Git commit or git log format relative date. This will probably go right to the page. Right below Stack Overflow here's the documentation for it, so you can see what all option is. This is not the page I was looking at yesterday to get ready. It was on gitsem.com/docs, but this is not the page I was looking at yesterday. So you can kind of see what's there. I was looking for relative date. So there's the date AR. That was gonna be my guess, but I wasn't completely positive. So AR, your relative date that now in that string, and notice the times are not a lot better for humans to deal with, right? That big Unicode timestamp is not very useful for humans. We have to stop and think about that for a while. Sometimes we might as well be looking at the milliseconds instead of the formatted version. There's so much information there. So relative dates are really, really nice. But then notice we got that copy spot on its own line, information about it, and we can grab all that stuff. We just saw, y'all know the process for Googling it. Just be specific. Check official documentation first. If you haven't had any passport, you probably haven't heard me say this. Always look at official documentation first. That's the user manual. And it's going to be confusing as can be. But that's the user manual, and you need to learn to read that. So look at official documentation first, then go to the tutorials. And instead of learning the one step you need, use the tutorial to learn to read the user manual. Then go to the tutorial, be like, oh, that's what they were talking about in the manual. Then go do it. And then the next time you go to the user manual, it'll be easier to make sense of, because usually the people that are really, really great at writing code are not so great at writing English sentences, talking about their code and how to use their code. So it takes more practice learning to read those user manuals than anything else. And tutorials only show the first steps to update. The user manual, the official documentation is always going to be up to date, should always be up to date, and has the whole picture. So use the tutorial to learn to read the user manual, not to learn one particular function out of it. I always make a big deal out of that in class. But see how to get those messages formatted, and kind of has to be done every time. It can be done in a config file, but it's going to be dynamic. So what I found is to have a couple of them in a text file and just copy and paste the one you want. I have several of them, and just copy and paste that, and then you're good to go with the different versions, the different messages you want in each time instead of that particular one. Got some other log functions. Is the coloring and the names make sense and all that stuff? So some of those assignments were written earlier than that, but please practice that. That takes practice. Customize your messages. When you do the given assignments, if you want to customize the log message that spits out, that would be really, really nice to see. But I wrote the instructions for the given assignments before I knew exactly where the log formatting was going to fit in. I don't know why I didn't realize very early that that's going to be early in the class, but I wrote those homework assignments before I decided where this was going to happen at day one of night 2. So this wasn't showing up in there, but when you do record the videos, it would be nice to see some of that, try to customize it to the thing you just did. At least once or twice, because it's something you're definitely going to want to do.
Especially when you're reading a lot of files.
Yes. And yeah, or the log gets 50 pages long.
Yep.
Cut it down. You want to see everything, but you don't want it abbreviated all the way down to that one line version, because that's not enough. Take out all the extra white space separating stuff and make it what works for you. So it's definitely something you're going to want to practice with. There's plenty of other ones. Anybody have any questions about the fully front? That makes sense. Let me clear that out of there. Did everybody get a copy of that? You want me to put that last one there? I'll put that one in the chat room on the closest.
Where do you get the format codes from?
I just Googled get log format, and I put in specifically relative date, but it pulled up. So get log format, and right under the Stack Overflow is get-scm. Pretty formats. Yep.
Yeah.
And yes. See red and blue, green, reset. They don't even have all the other colors. Magenta, yellow, and cyan work. I pulled up yellow a moment ago. Red, green, and blue, we don't need the parentheses, but the parentheses don't hold. And then reset goes back to your default color. Oh, you can define them in your git config file. I always just use the shell in particular. You can read through the documentation, look at that. Here's our, if you scroll down, you see that the codes are all percents. Those are probably the ones you want. The commit hash, and then all the parents of that one, the author name, and then down here somewhere should be author, the committer name. So who ran the add command and who ran the commit command? Not always the same person. Reference names, there's a long list of them. How's it encoded, the body. So the body, we can get the -S is the short message, the body is going to be that long message. Definitely play around with that one. If you're doing a lot of version control, I copied that over to a text file, so I will send that out in an announcement. So got that example that in there, but hopefully people are following along. I'll send out a copy of that one I just did, but hopefully you're following along. There's other ones. Git log -P is show patch. I should let me Q. So we can see them both. I'll clear out and say git log. So the regular log, get out of that, and then git log -P. And notice the difference. Here's the original one. And if we scroll down to with that patch, we get that same message, but we also get the difference basically. It shows us the changes for that particular commit. So we don't have to go back and run the git diff separately. We can see the changes that happen for each particular commit. %P is also that's %P as far as the short codes, the formatting, the patch. That's a really, really useful one. Git log stat. Oh, and that works on one line too. Let me do that. One line, git log, one line, -P. And now we have the short version with the patch information each time. So we can combine more than one parameter. It made the one line thing a whole lot longer, but we can combine more than one parameter. So git log --stat. This gave us this. So more.txt had one line added in that last commit. That was a while ago. I think it was about an hour ago. But yeah, I remember that after we did all the reset, then we got to that third file back in, which had one line and one text file. So there's our statistics about that. Bunch of statistics. If we did that on one line, git log one line --stat. It stretches it out to 3 lines each. So we also have git log one line --short stat. Gives us the shorter version. Yes, so stat has, you see the difference, stat has the file names. All of ours only had one file name, so it doesn't look like it's got a lot more there. But if there were 15 files in that all had a different number of lines, so the file name, how many lines were added or removed.
Mine's a little different because I created the dummy file and then I changed it to a text file, so you can see it and then see the change and see the add line. Yeah, so I see what you mean.
Yeah, lots of control over that message depending on what we want to look for, because we're not always going to look for the same thing when we're trying to pick a version. Name only, git log --name only. So the names of the files changed or added. I guess it's kind of hard to see there. Put on there, git log one line so we can compare it. Git log name only. Sorry, I messed up the comparison I wanted to do. One line. Then I'll push up, do one line with dash dash name dash only. And you see, we see the name of the file. So even an even shorter version of this stats. So kind of three different versions of how much information we're getting there. This one, next one doesn't really work on one line, get log. One line doesn't have the date. So get log Tuesday, June 13th, 1859:32, 2023 -040. So I'm negative, which means ahead, 4 hours ahead of universal time code in Paris is 1859:32, and that was May. And may as well show me the Unicode seconds, right? So if we want that detailed information, I exaggerated that. We're used to reading those, but there's a lot of information there. I don't need that. I want to get log dash dash relative dash date. 59 minutes ago, 2 hours ago, 2 hours ago. Those are a little more useful timestamps to look at.
I assume it switches from hours to days to weeks.
To months, yes.
Months.
And is it the next one? Oh, it's not that. So at this line, on this line, we will get to the full sentence where we can get, it will understand all of them. So we could say 1 year, 3 days, 4 hours ago when we ask for one. That's still a couple lines ahead. Oh, actually, no. I can jump ahead. Get log graph. We don't see much yet because we only have one branch. This can make a big spiral. But you see those lines? Those represent our tree, the branching tree structure, and we didn't make it. Our tree doesn't branch off. A tree's like a sapling. It's just a trunk. We don't have any limbs yet. So usually that one looks a little bit better with the one line. One line dash dash graph, and when we get to branching, we're going to spend a lot of time with that. All we have is the asterisks. There's no lines or anything. It'll start to look like a spider web before long. Okay, and now down to those other things that are really nice pull with the date. The reason I was digging into that more than we normally would, that Unicode date, because I'm like, what that information? It's like, okay, I'm looking at those dates. I see something happened on May 5th. I want to know everything that's happened since May 5th. Right. Somebody got fired. Somebody on the team got fired on May 5th. We want to know everything that's happened since they left. Or a new guy showed up on May 5th. We want to know everything that's happened since that new guy showed up. So get log dash dash synth, and so everything that's happened since. In our case, June 13th, I think one of them said 1859 and some milliseconds, and -4 means for some reason that's 4 hours ahead. Oh wait, no, 4 hours behind. Yeah, so 4 hours behind universal time code. I was thinking the universal time code is 4 hours ahead of us. So take the number that shows and subtract 4 to get to UTC. Could put in all that or the relative date. So let me pull up the get log so we can see the dates. Get log pretty, this is how I always like to get just the dates. Pretty equals format with percent AR, relative date. So something happened 62 minutes ago, something happened 2 hours ago, and something else happened 2 hours ago. So I only want to know what's happened in the last 63 minutes. So git log dash since 63.minutes. If you want to do an object-oriented notation, we're all programmers, so we usually do object-oriented notation like that. And there's only been one commit since then. So git log dash until 65.minutes. So there's our first two commits because stuff up until that time period. That relative dates are a lot easier for that. I guess you can copy and paste the Unicode timestamp, and we can mix and match them. This isn't going to work in this case. We don't have a fancy one, but git log. Maybe it's been a long running project since as a string 1 year. We'll put here 3 days. 4 hours, 8 minutes. So this will work because I use since. In my notes, I put it, you did that for until. So everybody wouldn't do anything, but since, well, all of our stuff has happened within 1 year, whatever time I'll put on there. So more on the version control. What are we looking at? What are we log? Which ones are we getting back to? Pull up that log and we use that hash code from there into one of our other functions. The first few steps in version control, what else? Yes, one more thing I'm gonna note. So we quit up this, clear the screen, and I need to make another file for this next one. So git log, yeah, there's going to be too much here, right? There's a lot of stuff. It's hard to tell what's going on. If I quit out of here, if we added another folder to our directory, I'll call it other, go into other folder, make a file, sublime, other file.txt. This is in folder. Save that. Whoa. Save that, get back here. We'll go up to the top level, just in case the changes have been made since then. Git add dot, git commit. Included another folder. Nothing new here, right? Put another folder and random file in our repository. A great spot for notes as you're playing around with things. Part of the learning process. No issues to track yet. Save and close that, or write and quit are the shortcuts for Vim, but before long you'll, if you haven't done so yet, dig around through those files and you'll see where you can change it to your favorite text editor instead of Vim. Unless Vim is your favorite text editors, we have that. Oh, whoops. All kinds of changes, but now our log is even longer. A bunch of stuff to deal with. I don't need to see all that earlier stuff. I'm only concerned with that commit to the other thing. So we can filter it to a file path, which could go all the way to a particular folder. Well, I'll do both the folder and the file. So git log and dash and then a space afterwards is just that's the way the official documentation says to separate the file path, because it doesn't need the dashes. You just put the file path in with no parameter name, and the computer is going to know what a file path is. But that tends to confuse humans, so that in the documentation, they say put dash and space before it to separate it from all our other parameters. And then our file path. So we have an other file. So now the log only shows what's in that other folder. There's not going to be much difference here, but get log dash other slash. Remember what I called that file?
Other file.txt.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to do a list slash other. Get log dash other slash other file.txt. Thank you. So it looks the same as the folder, but hopefully you see that we can track down to a particular file. We don't have to look at a commit for our entire repository or dig through that or even filter and format. We can set all that stuff up, and again, multiple parameters. We can do lots of parameters of one thing.
So in this case, use case, when was this file last modified when you're looking at a stack of commit?
Yes, git log. So to answer your question, dash pretty. You probably want to know who as well, right?
Right.
Pretty print equals formatted with percent author name on percent AR or AD. Which one do you want?
80.
So the Unicode timestamp. Dash
Do readme.
I was gonna go in that other file.
Oh, yeah.
Other file.txt. So there's when it was modified. Or we switch that to the AR. Should say what? 3 minutes ago? 4 minutes ago. I was close. So yes, we can, it's a database. This is our query language for the database, basically. It's a super optimized database. What it does is it takes a snapshot of the code. Then when we make the next commit, it takes in a picture, overlays those pictures, only looks at the differences. Has anybody ever done that in a spreadsheet? You have two things that are set up exactly the same. You want to know the differences, so you make a third sheet and you set it if cell A1 is not equal to cell A2, print different, otherwise leave it blank, and then copy that throughout the whole thing, and it'll print out. So it's like that level of efficiency. We can filter down to exactly what we want. Only the changes, only the stuff that wasn't changed. It's a query language for a database. But when we do a snapshot, it only sees those differences, and that's all it saves. So it's very optimized. It doesn't save multiple copies of everything. So then when we ask for one, it just walks through all those snapshots and redoes it. So it goes back to the first one and then sees what it originally looked like, and then checks every single change along the way until it gets to that final version. And a database, and this is our query language for this database. Is how we can grow our version.
There are a lot of parameters available for me.
There is a lot available for you. We're barely going to scratch. It's like the programming languages. We're barely going to scratch the surface in 8 weeks.
And that's why it's $400 test point for the
GitOps. The one I recommended is $79, and the GitOps one, there are things in there that are designed to see if you have 10 years experience doing Git stuff. They have they're checking, and it's Linux Foundation, so it's not multiple choice. It's somebody watching the recording of you using a bash terminal. So that $400, is it 400 or 300?
I think it's 300.
Yeah, so that $300 one is a very good one, but that's the high level one. The $79 one is we will definitely see everything in the $79. It'll almost look like I went and took that test 3 times as I was putting this course together. It'll kind of look like that. So we'll definitely see the $79 one, which will get you a good start. You can claim it because hopefully just from the stuff, but yeah, it's like a programming language. In 8 weeks, we will not be able to shove everything like Git in there. People will keep asking me if it's going to be a 1 or 3 credit hour class, and I was just like, it's definitely 3. I could do a 4 credit hour class if you wanted to do with it. There's a lot to it, but hopefully that stuff tonight got enough that y'all can start playing around because it's an active subject. We learn by doing. So want to make sure there's time to do. Take these things, this list, make sure you are very, very comfortable with this because it's the first steps in our version control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 things, and these are alternatives, so we're not going to do them at the same time. And we just saw if we use stat parameter in the log, we don't really need to run the difference. We can just get the stat, we can get the stats directly. Lots of different ways to do it, but that hopefully gives you some stuff to start playing around with. Do you want me to send out that example I did of formatting, or did everybody find those codes? I got you. Okay. Otherwise, that was all I had for this evening. That leaves us what? 35 minutes in the class time. I will be sitting around. I always sit around for the end of the time to answer questions, unless everybody leaves. There's 2 people in the class if they leave. Well, yeah, most nights I will be the last person on campus after y'all leave. Tonight, the Juneteenth celebration is going on down the hall. Y'all might have heard the music thumping for a few minutes. Actually, I'll stop talking. Still hear their music going. Sounds like they're having a good time. So I won't be the last person on campus, but if the people in the classroom leave, I probably will drive back to Clarksville. So there'll be a 10-minute gap where I don't answer my phone, but I will. That will be the first thing I check when I pull in my driveway in Clarksville. 2 exits on the interstate, and I do live right by the interstate, so it doesn't take very long at all. Otherwise, I'm just going to be sitting here waiting for questions to come my way. Please use our time productively, and remember that rest and relaxation do count, are productive. If you don't get enough rest, you're not going to be at your best. So rest and relaxation do count productively. Yeah, Mateo. Anytime
Yeah, I just had a question about the module 1 quiz that I sent you an email about last week.
You're gonna get those points back.
Okay. Okay. Just
I always double check the quizzes.
all right.
And even when I write one like this quiz, I'll put points back on them. You're gonna get those points back, and I do that after everybody takes the quiz.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sounds good. Thanks.
Yes.
Quiz.
Yes, something wrong with the answer key, but after he took it, I believe I changed it. I think I went in and changed it after, because he was the only one that had taken it.
Oh, so it's not the first quiz.
Module 1. But after everybody takes it, I go through and look at your answers, and even if I rate the quiz, I'm still, if I see how, like, oh, I see how they got that, or they thought that, I will I'll put points back on there. I guess here.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. One, our assignment was to create a directory. I just did it. I saw that you just created it. And then write a header and a description and put a README file into a directory. I was curious when it comes to putting in markdown text in the terminal. I played with it for like what feels eternity. The convention in my knowledge is hash tag for a header, 2 hashes for like smaller font. But then I would like I was just curious because I was like, I don't know how to read a README file without throwing it into GitHub. So I pushed it to GitHub and then I'd look at it and then it would read the header, but then I would put line breaks in it and it wouldn't read the smaller stuff.
VS Code will show you markup.
But can you do that through the terminal
Can we actually read it?
to write to a README file?
Okay. Yeah, I think I meant open the file, but yes, you can. So if I'll make a new file. Can I just touch here? So on yours.
I
you
did
would
touch.
touch a new
And then I used Echo.
reading.md, so it's an MD file. So we have that, and then yeah, echo. One asterisk is overwrite, or sorry, one arrow is overwrite, the two arrows is pen, so you probably want two arrows. A pen, don't overwrite the file. Hash the header. I can do it like this. Use right out.
I did, I wrote like Echo and then one hashtag and then whatever I wanted and then arrow README file.
Git bash. That way it looks like it does on your Mac. So CD documents. Git. So, this is where it's at. Yeah. So echo. Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah.
Echo. I'm gonna go with a pen instead of overwrite. Into reading.md. I think I forgot this just a moment ago. That's what that error message was back. Oh wait, no. It goes this way. Echo these words as the header into reading.md. So now if we read that, so it brought the header back out. Echo 3 underscores for the bold thing into reading.md. Is that what you were asking about?
Kind of like I would just couldn't get a header and a description, and in the README without like the hashtag is how you make a header, but then it wouldn't show up like a header. It would literally look like a hash and then the word header or something like that.
Let me open that in Sublime. Sublime doesn't fully show the Markdown language, but it does change colors and stuff for them. Sublime reading. So it changed colors. So it looks like that all went correct. Do you see what I did? Anything I did different than you did?
I mean, your code is different. I didn't use quotes. I don't think because it didn't need me to.
Oh.
And I only used one arrow, not two.
Okay, so one arrow overwrites it instead of a pen.
Okay.
The two arrows just adds on the name. Like the regular open method in Python, the file handler. I know you've seen that one. It does, you have the W mode or the A mode. So the one arrow is like W mode and two arrows is the A mode.
So I could keep adding on to it. That's probably why I kept overwriting my stuff.
And then the quote marks are because we're in a terminal, so things are space limited. So if you say echo hash space the header like I have there, it's going to take echo hash, and that's the only part it's going to echo, because then it's going to think the next one is a parameter. So you want to write the whole, you want to use quote marks there.
Oh, see you Thursday.
Have a good one.
And my last question was if I went into a file and I wanted to change, can I change the name if we're in a like a commit file or something, like the title of the commit file? Can I edit that? I guess,
yes.
Or no?
Yes. I'm going to show that later. So
I only asked that because I made a mistake. During class and one of your files did not look like one of my files.
Maybe this last one included another folder. So if I quit out of here, git commit dash amend goes right into the last one. Otherwise, we would do the regular, like we saw, oops, git log one line so we can get that number. If I can spell one line correctly. So we're going to change this copy, and we can say git commit that one dash amend. Doesn't know it. Git commit dash amend goes right in that one.
Okay.
Is it on the most recent branch? And then you could just add it here. Added another file, folder, and file. And then when we write and quit that, and if we do git log one line now, you can see our title changed.
Okay, cool.
Otherwise, the other alternative, if you go to where it's at, you can do this on your Mac as well. You'll need to be able to see hidden folders. Those commit messages are in the Git folder. And thank logs. Somewhere in this folder, we have all of those messages. References. And maybe we're only see the most recent one. Oh, that's why. So we only see the most recent one. So you can always go in here and edit it. Or let me see if this works. Git log one line. I'm gonna have to do some playing around to figure out a way to get back to the earlier ones. There is a way to do it, but I haven't done it. I can't seem to recall what it is. But amend goes right in the most recent one.
Okay.
Git commit amend. There's nothing to amend on a log. I've done it before, but can't remember anything. Can't remember how I got back to it. Because reverse, remind us we're looking at all of the things back to that point. So git log one line. I might have done this. There's no pimples up. Okay, so I'm gonna so revert that commit. So then it's like we're looking at this one. Then revert that commit. And then when we say commit amend, we go to the file from that one. And then afterwards we can unrevert those reverts. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
That would definitely only involve things we've done tonight. I'm pretty sure there's a more complicated way, but yeah, starting off with just think, hit revert, 4 or 5 times, do them one at a time. So make sure you're always doing the last one. So it's like you're stacking things up, and you don't want to jump to the middle of the stack somewhere. Take things off this revert, takes it off the stack, and you get back to the one you want. And then you can do a revert again to get the whole stack back on is probably the best way to approach that.
Okay.
Did that help?
That seems very complex to rename a file, but sure.
Yeah, so basically it's there. So let me just write the code. That way you can see what I'm talking about. So maybe we want to get back and change.
Like I was
another-
just thinking if you, yeah, like another commit, you just want to change the word another to, I don't know, different.
Okay, so to get to it, we have to revert this commit. Insert this key. So revert that commit and then git revert this commit. So now when we look at the commit message, git commit -- amend. Oh, I need to go back one more, don't I? Git log one line. So then we're back to this one, so I need to repeat this one as well. Copy git revert this. Okay. I'm not sure why it gave me an error message there, but changes to be committed, untracked files. So we were good. Third commit. We included folder. Oh, I needed this one. Sorry, the work goes back to it. Git reload this. For another commit. So yes. Do that. So now git commit -m. I have no idea why I did that. Git commit -amend. I think it's because I've been teaching since 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There we go. So now we're in here. So we're going to insert mode. You can come over here and change another. Write those changes, save that. And now we can undo all of those reverts. Or we can do a reset here. Reset --h back to this point. Here --r. Yeah, we're changing the revert, but we can let me do it this way. Check out this one. I was trying to avoid this because it'll show up some stuff later. So now if we do git commit -amend, we go in here, go to insert mode, change this to different. Sorry, I was trying to do it a little bit in a more clever way instead of getting this. Now we have that. So git switch -c on fixed _ name. So if we look at branches, there's two different versions going on, but I want to combine them. So check out the main branch, git merge main and fix name. Oh, if he's trying to do that work. Git branch delete fixed name. Git log.
Maybe you can't change it.
Check here.
But the other commit, another commit is still there.
Yeah, the very original one is still there.
Okay.
We can change the one listed as the head easily. The other ones are more difficult to change. Actually, there might be a command to do that. Why not just check Google to see if there's an abbreviation for that? Change commit message get. It looks like yeah, change the most recent one. Amending older ones. Oh, here's the steps for amending older ones. We have to put it on another branch, and instead of merging those branches, should use this force with least parameter.
That seems excessive. So don't rename. Got it.
So the best thing to do is, the title doesn't matter, because we can only access stuff here. There's only a few places where we can use this name to actually do stuff with the code. We almost always need the hash. So really that name in more than half of our situations is just so the human can find the hash. So if there's a typo in there, it doesn't hurt anything because we will still find the particular one.
Okay.
It's more like a comment than actual code. I
That
know
was
there's
my last question. That was it.
I have done it before, but at the same time, I'm thinking it's not easy to do.
Okay. I'll accept my fate that I spelled that title wrong.
Dig through that folder. Dig through here and see if you see anything that looks like old commit messages. Looks info. That was unnamed. Yeah, I think it's held as a snapshot, so we can't actually edit it.
I guess that makes sense.
Oh, but on this file, that looks like our hash codes. Another commit, a third commit. Here's everything that's happened. Which one was it? First commit was when we made this one. When did we change this one?
You're not screen sharing if that's what you meant to do.
Oh, sorry. Let me undo what I just did. So I went into the Git folder. I thought I was screen sharing. Into the Git folder, and on references and heads, I looked at this main. Open with the text editor. maybe not that one. What did I just go into? Definitely not hooks. Why I would look at logs. So under logs and references and heads, if I open this with the text editor, that looks like our hash code and all the information. There we see our name or the title. So let's see what happens if we change this one. So I'm going to save that. Git log one line. Nope, that didn't change it. I know I've changed them before, so I will mess around and see if I can find a straightforward way to show you how.
It was nothing pressing. I was just curious because I wrote the wrong file name while you were lecturing, but obviously it was the only different one. So.
So mostly at this point, mostly humans gonna read that. It won't hurt anything to have a typo, and it is a big deal to change it.
Okay.
Otherwise, we can keep doing reverts and correct it, but then it shows up as a later commit where we actually see the correction.
Okay. Also, I haven't forgotten about the certification. I'm still sick. Hopefully I'll be better by next week.
It's just gonna help us. It's a piece of paper. It doesn't go bad. It's not like
I don't want you to think I haven't forgotten and I don't want to come to class. I'm just still sick.
There's a big on campus tonight too, so there's music playing. I don't know if it's coming through the microphone. As the night progresses, the music seems to be increasing in volume. Did you have any other questions?
No, that was it. Thank you.
No problem. I will see you on Thursday.
See you on Thursday.
Did you have questions, Mateo or Carrie?